of the city and county. I was the first woman of color in the entire state of California. When I ran for Attorney General and when I was elected, it was as the first woman ever and as the first person of color ever. And, frankly, Jake, my mother used to have a saying, and she would say to me, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things, but make sure you're not the last. And so, that's how I think about those kinds of things. And it is about certainly breaking barriers is something that is very important. And in my experience, given what I've shared with you, I will also say to you that I have seen fathers bring their sons up to me and say, she is the first, in a way that is to also speak to those sons about the fact that they should not ever be burdened by what has been, and they should see what can be. And I think that's really the most important takeaway, which is that with each barrier that we break, it is saying to all of us, don't be burdened by what has been, see what can be, and strive for that.
As you know, Congress has less than 3 weeks to reach an immigration compromise or risk another government shutdown.
Yeah.
One issue on the table is the fate of DACA recipients. This stands for the undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. illegally as children through no fault of their own.
Right.
Cecilia Martinez was born in Mexico. Her parents brought her to the U.S. as a baby. She grew up here in Iowa. Cecilia?
Good evening. Thank you. So I am a DACA recipient, and I am tired of being used as a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
I worry about my future and the future of other DACA recipients and those still without legal status, some of who are our own parents. Yeah. What solutions do you see to help protect the parents of DACA recipients or those for which there is no clear path to citizenship?
Right. Well, thank you, first of all, for your courage in standing up and speaking out. DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. I have served since I've been in the United States Senate on the Homeland Security Committee of the Senate, and consistently since day one when it came to the confirmation process, much less the oversight process of who would head the Department of Homeland Security, I have had serious concerns about the fact that they are refusing to keep America's promise to you and everyone who went through that process. And it is wrong. And it also is contrary to who we said we were. And let's all be clear about what DACA is, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So Cecilia, like so many others, were told that if you go through this process of answering questions about the circumstances upon which you arrived, who are your parents? Are you living a productive life? Are you in school? Have you committed any crimes? What are you doing now? If you went through that process of a vet and filled out all those questions and answered all those questions, and if you cleared the vet, the United States government gave these young people DACA status, protection. And we promised them, and it is in writing, if you give us this information about who you are, we will not share it with ICE, and we will not use that as a basis for deporting you. We promised you that. Then this administration came in and broke that promise. Broke that promise. And so what we have is bad role modeling, not to mention the fact that we have hundreds and thousands of young people like you who are presenting us with the promise of America and have to live in fear every day that you might be deported because the administration came in and broke America's promise to you. And it is wrong. And on your point about parents, it is wrong, and you're exactly right, for this administration to then trade the idea that, okay, well, maybe we'll let the kids stay, but not their parents. So yet again, we have an example of this administration willing to separate children from their parents, which is inhumane and contrary to who we are and the values we hold as Americans. And so I will say to you that I stand with you. There are so many who do, and we should not be trading on your life for the sake of the political games that this president is playing in trying to vilify young people like you who are doing nothing except being productive and believing in and living the American dream.